Okay, so tonight it's going to be transmission fluid drain and fill, 2013 Honda CR-V EXL. Has the 5-speed auto like it's supposed to, and we'll also go over replacing the transmission filter. So I've already removed the cover that gives us access to the transmission drain plug. That was something like this. Two Phillips head screws held it in. They got us to here. Now we're looking towards the driver's side of the car. So now, go to get a 3/8 ratchet on this bolt. Right there. Okay, so we're doing this service at about 92,000 miles. This is what our drain plug looks like now. It's got a little bit of filings and such on the magnetic tip there. Not too bad. Here's the part number for the new washer that'll have to go on to the drain plug. That's the Honda part number. Just take a second, wipe this off real quick. So that's what's coming off. It's really fine filings I'm finding, which I'm happy with. It doesn't seem like it's having any real problems, any major problems. It drives good. So nice and clean. Get rid of that old washer. Give us a new one. I'll tighten it down and add the fluid now. The fluid, I'll show you from the top where that's going in. Okay, so of course your transmission's dipstick is here. On this car, you're supposed to check it with the engine off. Okay, pull it out since we just drained all the fluid out of it. Set the dipstick to the side. And what I have is I have one of these type of long, thin funnels. Okay, and I should we'll route that all the way down there. So that is in the tube now. Okay, so the owner's manual specifies 2.7 quarts for the transmission. So that's what I put in. I'm going to see how that goes. That should be the right amount based on the specs. So what I'm going to do now before I even start the engine is the transmission filter is buried underneath here. Okay, so I'm pulling this air box off. I'm going to start with, let's see here, detaching this electrical plug. Actually, not that electrical plug, excuse me. That can stay right on there. I can detach this, actually. Pull this off, and this whole assembly should come over to the side for me. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so you can see I have the air intake tube and the top of the air filter housing over here. I basically had to loosen this clamp like I showed you before and pull this hose, this hose here out of the rubber boot. I don't see the spot for it right now, but this is the lower section of the air box. Okay, this is removed by taking this 10mm bolt, loosening it all the way. This one doesn't want to come all the way out, which is fine. And then the next steps are in this hole and in this hole hidden underneath here, there are metal posts sticking up. Okay, those are removed by pulling up hard on that air box. Okay, there's a left post, there's the right post. You'll note that I sprayed a little bit of PB Blaster to help the rubber slide back off that post on the right hand side. Well, that's all it is. It's the bolt that goes there, which is this, and pulling off those two posts back there. So now, you get us up here a little higher, you can actually see the transmission filter from here. That's the top of the transmission filter. So what I'll do now is I'll get the top clamp off. Actually, I'll probably take the clamp off right here because that'll be easier to get to. And then there's a bolt there, looks like a 10 mil. Take that off, and then I'll figure out how to get the lower hose disconnected. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you what I'm going to do as I'm doing it. So I got the bolt out of that bracket, and there is a small piece of metal that comes disconnected here. It would wrap around the filter. I remove that, and so now my goal, I'm going to try and do here. I'm going to try and bend this down and pinch that clamp with the pliers and pull the hose off at the same time. Not sure how well that's going to work, but I'm going to have to do that off camera. And that shows you kind of the area we're in. Okay, so we're kind of deep in there. Not too bad. Okay, so you can see we got the new filter in all the way down there. It was a tight space, a little tricky, but not terrible. I don't usually recommend specific tools very often, because a lot of the stuff you can do with basically, you know, your regular hand tools. But because of these types of but because of these types of hose clamps, okay, the metal spring-loaded ones, those are very difficult. At least they're very difficult for me, especially when you're in a tight space like this, because you can see down below, right, I reached both hands and the space was very tight. So I picked up these a while ago. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them or not. This exact model is made by Mac Tools, and basically what it is, it's a set of pliers made exactly for those clamps, and the reason they're special is these grooves here. Okay, so the way you use these is you actually fit those hose clamp bits into those grooves on each side of the jaws, and those jaws really lock in on the hose clamp. Because what you usually have with regular pliers is you'll try and clip this, or you try and squeeze this, and the clip will slip out. And it'll do it over and over again. So if you can find pliers that do the same thing, where they have a nice groove in them, these have a groove at the tip, but then also along the long edge, depending on which angle or which side of the clamp you need to be on. These were extremely helpful for this exact project, so I recommend those. But as far as the transmission fluid goes and the transmission filter goes, we're all done with this project. I'm going to start it up now, run it up and down the road, and double check the level, and that'll be it. That's how you change out the transmission fluid and the transmission filter on your 2013 Honda CR-V. Here's the model number for the transmission fluid filter on the 13 CR-V. I got that. I actually got that online because none of my dealers near me had one on the shelf. I don't know if people aren't changing these out very often. I'm not really sure. But that's the correct part number for my 13 CR-V.